A landmark decision by the NCAA. The OU Board of Regents may have violated a law, and find out how long this rainy and cold weather will stick around. This is OU Nightly. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Grace Whitten.
And I'm Talon. Forbis. A monumental decision by the NCAA today as it clears the way for college athletes to profit off their names, images, and likenesses.
OU Nightly's Parker Thune is in studio with details. Parker?
Grace, it truly is a landmark day in collegiate athletics. NCAA board members have voted unanimously to phase out their moratorium on compensation for student athletes.
It's in a very important step toward modernization of NCAA rules to provide more opportunity for our students. So that's an inherently good thing for everybody.
Now, the board hopes to fully implement these policy changes by January of 2021. Athletes will be able to profit from their names, images, and likenesses in a fashion that is, quote, consistent with the collegiate model. Now, obviously, there's a lot of ambiguity contained in that phrase, and it's unclear what this entire concept would look like from a practical standpoint. Beyond the semantics, there's also pending Congress legislation on the endorsement market for collegiate athletes, so it's pretty evident that there's a lot to come in the days ahead. Shannon Ehrhardt and our sports team will have more later in the show, but for now, back to the desk.
Thank you, Parker. And the news about the new NCAA rule is making its way across campus, so OU Nightly talked to students to see what they think about it.
These people are giving their bodies up and putting them on the line for our entertainment, also their future careers. And so if anything, I feel like it'll just bring more passion into the game, nothing else really complicating it.
With this, a lot of players wanting to go to like bigger name schools to get their name out there to make money, because if that's an option in college football, obviously that's going to drive a lot of kids to go do that.
Stick with us for more details about this new rule coming up later in OU Nightly Sports.
This cold weather seemed to really come up on us quick.
Yeah, I finally had to bring out my winter coat this morning. Hannah Scholl joins us with a look at this chilly weather.
Hi, Grace and Talon. Yes, I am out here on the balcony at Gaylord College. It is a miserable day. It's cold, it's wet. We've been dealing with some on and off drizzle throughout the day. Temperatures are in the 30s across the state and actually reaching the freezing point out in the Panhandle, so they could be seeing some winter precipitation as we move through today and into tomorrow night. In general, it's just feeling like a not so nice day to be outside, but coming up I'll have how much longer this dreary weather will be continuing. If you can see some winter precipitation ahead, whether that will be ice or snow, and then of course I will also have your trick-or-treat forecast all straight ahead. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Hannah. The OU Board of Regents may have violated state open meeting laws when it selected Gary Pearson as its new chair and Lindsey Stone as vice chair at a private meeting last week. Freedom of Information Oklahoma released a statement saying the agenda item under which the Regents took action was so vague that it did not appear to be calculated to inform the public that discussion or election of a chairman would be considered at the meeting. It is stated that any action that took place in violation of the Open Meeting Act will be declared invalid.
Student Government Association fall elections are underway with polls opening today and closing tomorrow. This year, students have the choice between 3 candidates: Justin Norris, Vivek Vijay, and Jamela Reed. All you need to do to vote is log into OrgSync, search for SGA and campus elections, and cast your vote.
It sounds like it's kind of like neck and neck at this point. I don't know. I don't know who's gonna win, but it's very important that if you have an opinion, and you should because you're a student here and it's gonna affect it, that you go out and vote.
Now, there are no official polling locations this year.
This Friday, November 1st, the state of Oklahoma will allow those 21 and older or 18 and older, if in the military, to carry a gun without a license. Gun shops are still required to conduct a full background check on anyone wanting to purchase a handgun. With the new law being implemented, some gun shop owners are not expecting any changes in business.
We're not really seeing an influx that people would assume with this kind of thing, just like in years past when we went from concealed carry to open carry. Everybody thought, oh, it's going to be this big change. It really wasn't as big of a change as people thought.
Private property owners can still restrict guns on their properties, and firearms are able to be carried in school or government buildings only if they allow it.
A suspect is now in custody following a robbery at a Norman bank last Friday. The robbery happened at Chase Bank on Robinson Street. Andrea Anderson, spokeswoman of the Oklahoma City Division of the FBI, says the name of the individual will be released later by the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Conditions in Northern California continue to get worse as several wildfires continue to spread. Millions of people all over the state are affected as the northern and southern parts are up in flames. Mandatory evacuations are underway for those in the paths. One Petaluma resident was forced to evacuate last week. She's staying in Marin County, which are under mandatory power cuts. She describes the conditions, saying the air outside is hard to breathe, and some of the fires are within an hour of San Francisco. The fires have already burned thousands of acres across California, and the winds are forecasted to pick up through the week, fueling the fire.
Army Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman testified today in a closed-door deposition at the House impeachment inquiry against President Trump. Sinclaire Jacobs has more in the News Center. Sinclaire.
Thanks, Talon. Vindman is the National Security Council's top Ukraine expert and was the first impeachment witness to have listened in on the July phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky. U.S. Representative Liz Cheney believes it is unpatriotic to question Vindman.
I also want to say a word about something else that's been going on over the course of the last several hours and last night, which I think is also shameful. And that is questioning the patriotism, questioning the dedication to country of people like Mr. Vindman.
The House will vote on Thursday, October 31st to settle on impeachment procedures. CNN released a new poll conducted by the University of New Hampshire of the 2020 New Hampshire Democratic primary field. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are leading with Joe Biden close behind. On the Republican side, Donald Trump leads the New Hampshire primary with 86%. New Hampshire is currently a swing state, and the impeachment of President Trump is an unpopular opinion. British lawmakers in the House of Commons voted today to hold a snap poll on December 12th in an attempt to break the political standoff over Brexit. Brexit was supposed to take place on October 31st, and this 3-month delay brings Brexit to a 4-year debate. The Labour Party and Liberal Democrats wanted an earlier election in hopes of getting more votes from students before they go on holiday. The decision today will head to the House of Lords to be signed off. And Talon, as competition in the food delivery business increases, Amazon eliminates its fee for grocery delivery in the U.S. The Amazon food delivery charge was $14.99 a month, and starting today it's free for Prime members who have previously used the service. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sinclaire. A university organization is taking a stand against a national epidemic affecting college-aged individuals. Find out what doctors are saying when we come back.
Plus, Oklahoma City is gearing up for the largest regional conference of its kind. Find out what it's for next.
The state filed a new petition in the Johnson & Johnson opioid settlement. Governor Kevin Stitt wants to be able to request more money on a yearly basis in hopes to fix Oklahoma's opioid crisis. In August, Judge Thad Balkman ruled against Johnson & Johnson, awarding Oklahoma $527 million. It is still unclear if a mathematical error will change the final settlement amount.
Oklahoma is facing a health issue that is on the rise. Tevis Hillis, our health beat reporter, is with us.
Congenital syphilis is Oklahoma and is increasing at an alarming rate. In Oklahoma, there's been a 283% increase in cases since 2014. This infectious disease is transmitted by an infected mother to her baby in the womb. The State Department of Health urges healthcare providers to get their patients tested. Public Health Discussion is a campus organization raising health issues awareness. The most recent discussion focused on e-cigarettes. Doctors Marshall Cheney and Paige Dobbs discussed their findings and their search to find solutions to what some would call an epidemic.
As when we tried as a community to regulate or educate students about vaping, it's been really difficult because no one wants to listen to someone lecturing them about vaping or how it could be dangerous to you.
The doctors know it will take some time to reach students with this important health message. The 13th annual Southern Obesity Summit takes place in Oklahoma City this week. It's the largest regional conference of its kind. Policy leaders and public health experts will be discussing solutions to obesity. Thomas Larson, the Public Director of Health Information and Outreach at TSET, explains what the summit can do.
There are things going on in different states, and this is a forum for people to share ideas, the latest on best practices, and new research about how we address obesity and help people live healthier lives.
Obesity is a leading cause of preventable death. It's hard to fight it alone. If you need help or know someone who does, check out tset.ok.gov. Grayson Talon.
Thank you, Tevis.
And we will come back with Hannah Scholl. She'll give us more on the forecast. Hannah.
Yeah, I have your trick-or-treat forecast coming up, and also how much longer we can see these clouds sticking around. Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Hannah Scholl with your weather for today. It is looking pretty dreary out there, and dare I say even spooky with all these low clouds and even fog in some area. 37 degrees with some drizzle continuing. It's not feeling very nice out there, and then the winds are making it a little bit colder. So you have the winds, you have the drizzle, so it's making it feel like 20s in Oklahoma City and also in Norman. So 28 is your feels like temperature in Oklahoma City, 29 in Norman. It's feeling even colder out in the Panhandle. 24 it's feeling like for them out there. So how much longer will we be seeing these clouds and all of this rain? So taking a look at your satellite and radar, we're going to be dealing with this lingering kind of on and off showers and drizzle throughout today and into early tomorrow morning. And if you look over at the Panhandle, they're going to be experiencing some snow and ice possible early on Wednesday morning. So as you're going to work, as you're taking your kids to school, just be aware of that. Those could make for some hazardous driving conditions, and then also be on the lookout for possible cancellations as well. So then as you go through your day on Wednesday, most of that is going to be clearing out by Wednesday afternoon. Then all of the clouds even start to clear out for your day on Thursday. So Thursday's looking nice and clear. So for when you're going out and you're trick-or-treating on Thursday night, you may think it's clear, we don't have anything to worry about, but it's actually going to be very cold. It's going to be feeling more like winter. So 40s when you start trick-or-treating, but then it's going to start to drop off into the 30s as you go throughout your night. So depending on if you start trick-or-treating earlier in the day, you might have some warmer temperatures, but as you go through the day, it's going to continue to get colder in your night. For tonight, we're staying in the high 30s throughout the night. We have this on and off drizzle as you continue through the night, 39 until 10 p.m. and then 38 by midnight. So staying pretty stagnant as far as temperatures go, and then we drop off a little bit as you go throughout your night. 34 is your low for tonight in Oklahoma City, 36 in Norman, and we're even reaching the 20s out in the Panhandle and western Oklahoma, 23 in Guymon, 28 in Woodward, 30 in Elk City. And tomorrow is going to be kind of like today, at least for the first part of your day. That rain is not going to be clearing out until your afternoon. So high 30s here in Oklahoma City and Norman, 30 and 32 out in the western part of the state, and also 30 in Guymon. So again, you could be experiencing some snow and ice for your precipitation if you live in the Panhandle. So be aware of that. That could bring some hazardous conditions into your forecast. So for your day tomorrow, again, we do have this rain lingering for the first part of your day, and then temperatures are going to be in the high 30s. So finally, that's actually going to be clearing out as you go throughout your day on Wednesday. Again, Thursday, we're looking nice and clear. Temperatures are in the mid 40s, and then we have lots of sunshine for the rest of your week, and temperatures bounce back pretty nicely for your weekend, actually. We're getting back into the 60s.
I know, it always seems like every time Halloween rolls around, those chilly temperatures start to roll in as well.
Yeah, I guess it's probably not that fun if you aren't scared to go outside a little bit because it's so cold.
I'll have to dress as a polar bear so I can stay warm outside.
That is true. Well, thank you, Hannah. And it has been a tough week for Sooner football.
Luckily, we have a week off to regroup and come back fighting. Right, Shannon?
You're right, you guys. It was a tough look last week against Kansas State, but I do have good news. 4 OU players are on their way to make record marks in Sooner history. Wait just a minute. Sports is next. Welcome back to OU Nightly. As we told you earlier in the newscast, it's a landmark day in collegiate athletics. For the first time, the NCAA is proposing that student athletes be allowed to earn money off their likeness. This is far from finalized. Today, the NCAA leaders recommended modifications that would go into effect in January of next year if possible. In late September, California passed legislation that will allow student athletes in the state to earn money from their name, image, and likeness starting in 2023. And Jalen Hurts and CeeDee Lamb were named semifinalists for the Maxwell Award for the Collegiate Player of the Year. Hurts is killing it, not only in passing efficiency, but is the only FBS player with 3 games this season of more than 2 rushing yards and passing TDs. Lamb ranked second nationally in yards per reception and receiving touchdowns. Also, Neville Gallimore and Kenneth Murray were selected as semifinalists for the Chuck Bednarik Award. And the Astros are on the comeback trail as they now lead the World Series 3-2 and are 1 away from winning it all. The road team has taken the dub in the first 3 games, and if the Nets win the next 2 at Minute Maid Park, it will be the first time in history that a team has won the World Series with 4 road victories. And tonight, the Nats hope to break Houston's win streak in this matchup between star pitchers Justin Verlander and Stephen Strasburg. Verlander needs to get off to a good start, though.
Once he does find all 3 of his pitches and he finds his slot where he likes where he's throwing specifically his slider, watch out because he can rattle off a lot of outs in a row, as seen in a couple of these playoff starts.
Allison on your right.
I wanted to ask you about kind of the second tier part of your roster.
And the Thunder just can't seem to find their groove, and it doesn't help that Russell Westbrook was on the opposing team. The team took a trip down to Houston and fell short against their former teammate. The Rockets took the dub 116-112, and Westbrook had a near triple-double, not wasting any time with his former teammates.
After the game, I'll talk to my guys. I'll go talk to them right now, but doesn't mean that I don't have friends. But during the game, I don't. It's that simple. If you try to be my friend, I ain't gonna say to you.
The NFL trade deadline ended a little over an hour ago, but don't worry, you didn't miss much. I know most of us were expecting more action today, but all we got was silence. Don't sweat it, your favorite team didn't get any better or any worse. Basketball season is upon us, and the Sooners are looking for redemption. After going 7-11 in the conference a year ago, the men's team jumpstarts their season tonight at 6:30 against Southeast Oklahoma. And Marshawn Lloyd looks more like a track star because look at this hurdle. The kid is unstoppable. He literally sends himself over the D lineman and makes it all the way to the end zone. I gotta say, Lloyd must have 2 scholarships in the future, one of them being track. And unfortunately, you guys, he is playing at South Carolina next year, but you never know, he might be playing at Oklahoma on the off chance.
Awesome. Well, it looks like he's got a good future ahead of him, Shannon.
Oh, for sure.
Thank you. And we've got some good news for you if you like chicken.
Stay with us to find out why Popeyes is back in the limelight after making a big announcement.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Kayla Davis from the OU Nightly Newsroom. People Not Politicians, an Oklahoma group who argues politicians redraw both state and congressional voting districts to get re-elected, plan to gather signatures for a 2020 ballot initiative. They want to change the redistricting process by allowing the public to see how those lines are drawn. And an Oklahoma County District Judge faces a felony charge. Kendra Coleman was indicted on Monday after failing to file her state income tax returns for 2017. That's the latest. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Kayla. After 2 long months of waiting, Popeyes has an exciting announcement.
Yes, that's right. The chicken sandwich is coming back.
The sandwich became an instant hit back in August thanks to a viral social media post, but Popeyes took it off the menu after just 2 weeks.
Yes, the good news, the chicken sandwich is here to stay for good starting November 3rd.
After all of the rain that we've been seeing the past few days, it's going to clear up. We have a lot of sunshine in your forecast, and it's actually going to be looking nice for your Halloween as well.
Well, thank you, Hannah. Thank you for joining us for OU Nightly. Good night.
Good night.